Boker Tov, the last Mishnah of the 8th Perek, and then one more Perek to go. Onen toveh ve'ochel et pischo la'erev, avalo b'kodashim. So we mentioned that if a person is an onen, he lost a loved one on Erev Pesach. So he lost a loved one on Erev Pesach. So in the morning, he's not able to do the slaughtering of the Korban Pesach. But that night, he becomes an onen midei Rabbanan at nighttime, and because the Korban Pesach is a karet, if one doesn't do it, therefore the Rabbanan is put aside, and they do eat the Korban Pesach that night, but they do need to go to the mikveh beforehand. Something that's not usually necessarily done, but they need to go to the mikveh beforehand, just in case they touch some tumah, or so they have to go to the mikveh and then they eat. Aval lo b'kodashim, the Mishnah says this is only an exception when it comes to the Korban Pesach. But other types of korbanot, if they, or let's say they're about to sacrifice, or they sacrifice the korban, now they're about to eat it, they hear, they lost a loved one, and they didn't eat their korban yet, they don't eat the korban, because it's not, the other korbanot is not on the level of karet, where we push off the derabanan. Hashomeh al meto. Let's say, God forbid, a person hears about the passing of a loved one. So, Yom Shmuah, so there's different discussions as to when you hear about it. So this is talking about where you hear about it after the rest of the family's had Shiva, after it's been 30 days, within the year. People didn't have, cell phones, Instagram, and people sometimes heard news much later. So there's different laws as to when you hear about the loved one that passed. Do you have to sit Shiva now, or was the Shiva already over? Do you do Avelu just for one day? So if a person hears about a relative, obviously a relative that he would otherwise mourn over, he hears about that passing at a later time, so that's onen midei Rabbanan for that day. But let's say he hears about it on Erev Pesach. So, every Pesach everyone converges on Yerushalayim. He saw some old friends, your brother passed away, unfortunately, just a month ago, whatever it was. So it's an onen midei Rabbanan, and the Korban Pesach still overrides, and they can't eat the Korban Pesach that night. Or, ve'amelaket lo atzamot, toveh ve'ochel b'kodashim. Hamelaket atzamot is if a person is reburying someone's buried in Chutz La'aretz, and now you want to take him to be reburied in Eretz Yisrael. So there is, even if it's 20 years later, the day of the reburial is actually a day of mourning for the loved ones. There they sit Shiva just for the end of that day, till nightfall. So they buried him 1 in the afternoon, they sit Shiva until the end of that night, and till nightfall, and that's it. So let's say, if for some reason they did that on Erev Pesach, choose a better day to do that, but again, let's say they want to be reburied in Yerushalayim, they're coming to Yerushalayim, anyways, from Tiberia, from Haifa, from wherever they live, and then they bring the body of the loved one. So they rebury in Yerushalayim that day, even though that day therefore is going to be like a day of Shiva for the rest of the family. It's only midei Rabbanan, rabbinic, and that is overridden by Korban Pesach, so they do eat Korban Pesach that night. Last point, ger shenitgayer be'erev Pesach. Let's say a convert converts on Erev Pesach. Again, I guess the Bet Din worked overtime and they converted him even Erev Pesach. The ger said, I want to be a Jew before Pesach. Okay? So he said, we're going to do Erev Pesach. So Erev Pesach, he converts. Bet Shammai Omri. Bet Shammai says, Tovel ve'ochel et pischo la'erev. Says Chazak u'Baruch. You converted Erev Pesach, you could do the Korban Pesach tonight. No issue. You're a regular Jew already right now. That's it. Bet Hillel, it's interesting, Bet Hillel is worried about a rabbinic worry, and Bet Hillel says as follows. Bet Hillel Omrim, HaPoresh min ha'orla keporesh min ha'kever. So he says that, so there's also a debate, did he get his Brit Milah that day as well, or was it just, because the Brit Milah could be done earlier, but the final stamp of Judaism is the mikveh. You can't do mikveh first. If you do the mikveh, then they do the circumcision. They have to do mikveh again. Mikveh is the end. So if you do the circumcision on that day, and then they go to the mikveh, says Bet Hillel, we're worried about the following thing, that they might have, as a goy the day before, they might have touched a dead body, and as a Jew, that would have made them tameh for 7 days. As a non-Jew, there's no tum'ah by a non-Jew. So they might say the following: well, yesterday I went to a funeral, touched a dead body. Today, Erev Pesach, I'm converting, and they're letting me eat Korban Pesach that night. So maybe in the future in his life, he won't be strict on the laws of Tum'ah before eating Korban Pesach, because he might think, well, I touched a dead body the day before, and then I had Korban Pesach the next day. You're supposed to wait 7 days, and if your 7 days fall Erev Pesach, you lost Korban Pesach. That's what Pesach Sheni is all about this week, right? So maybe we'll be Zochet to the Bet HaMikdash, B'ezrat Hashem, with Pesach Sheni, all of us. The way the world's going, you never know what's going on. Baruch Hashem, our enemies are falling like flies, B'ezrat Hashem, and the Mashiach's on the way. So Pesach Sheni, B'ezrat Hashem, is in our sight. So says Bet Hillel, because of this worry that this person next year is going to, or in his subsequent years, is going to be lax in maybe the laws of Tum'ah, we tell him, sorry, sir, even though you converted Erev Pesach, you're going to have to wait till next year to do your Korban Pesach or Pesach Sheni, and you're going to have to wait 7 days right after the circumcision. We wait him at 7 days as if he was Tameh until he does his Korban Pesach. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen. Rabbi Chananya ben Akashya אומר רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל לפיכך חיבה להם תורה ומצווה שנאמר אדוני חפץ למען צדקו הגדיל תורה וידיר.